Okay, we have just seen the last night of the Creative Arts Emmy Awards. I'm joined right now by Matt Noble and David Buchanan. Hopefully, we'll be joined by Zach Laws in a moment, and we are from Gold Derby. So, tonight we saw the guest winners, the documentary series winner, everything else below the line that we had missed the other 4 nights. Matt, how are you feeling about how these creative arts ceremonies have been going, and how these shows have been going in your absence?
Yes, well, I'm so glad you've got a Noble board up that's been keeping track of all the winners for the week and which shows are on how many wins. Sorry, I haven't been able to join us throughout the week, but I'm here right now. It's Emmy Eve. I'm so excited. I'm in my pajamas so I can get an early night's sleep for the Emmys tomorrow. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about these races, and I think these shows. Your shows, Riley, and the Gold Derby team have been running brilliant shows. Nothing to complain about with those. In terms of the Emmy Awards, I actually really liked it being over or 4 or 5, no, 4 nights or 5 nights.
5 nights.
5 nights. I really liked it being over 5 nights. I think it was good to have a night where you focused on reality TV, a night you're focused on the variety, and then you spread the scripted series out of two nights. And I think the way it was in segments, I think worked really well. I think you lose the surprise since they're all pre-recorded. I don't like that they repeated things that were in the week before. So that have been in other episodes of the thing. I'd have one suggestion for it. I think it was Nicole Byer who hosted. I think she did a fantastic job of hosting. She was wonderful. But I wonder if like what they could do if they ever did this in the future, they spread it out over more nights in the future. Have like for the reality night a reality TV show host, for the variety night someone who hosts a variety show, for the scripted nights you have someone host it from a scripted series, because the people tuning into those evenings, when you segment them based on type of program, you might be getting fans of that particular genre of television. So you might want to sort of have a host that sort of is from that field. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was great. I really liked it. Don't repeat stuff. They should have been able to make content for each different night. And yeah, but other than that, I thought, given the circumstances in the world we're in, they did a fine job.
I think I would have liked to have seen one night hosted by those $1 million listing hosts, because the delivery of their banter just killed me.
Yeah, that would be good.
David, what did you think?
I thought it was good. I don't think the pacing was as strong as the first few nights just because they were on broadcast. It was more categories. But they did an extraordinary number of categories in only about 2 hours and 10 minutes, even though they ran a bit long. And I thought they kept it moving really well. So in that regard, I thought it was really impressive. I agree. I think having a different host on each night, if they do spread it out like this again, is a really great idea. But yeah, I thought it was a really good night.
Now, we did see some gaffes. They announced Jason Bateman as the winner of Drama Guest Actor, but it appears that it was actually Ron Cephas Jones. There's also that makeup award, I believe, or what was that for? The one that Hollywood won, where
Right.
the team they never actually got the names, I guess.
That was hairstyling.
Hairstyling, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was someone who predicted James Cromwell to win best guest actor in a drama series, expecting a bit more Succession support. I guess I picked the wrong Succession guest star. I was very I was like, oh no, I'm wrong twice.
Same here. I had Cromwell too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't know how they had Bateman's name if he wasn't the winner. I don't know where they were reading from, but that was actually one of the most exciting, if not frustrating, parts of the night.
Yeah. I would guess they have like a button that they like press when someone wins, and they probably just clicked the wrong audio button. Like they just played the wrong audio feed, maybe. It seemed like everything was pre-taped, right? There was like nothing. So it meant when a gaff was made, there was no one like, like say what you want about what happened with the Oscars when they read out the wrong envelope. It was live. There were people in the room, and it could get sorted out in, like far too long. But within 2 minutes, it was all addressed. Where if you're just sitting in a control room with pre-taped segments, you don't have anything that can fix a gaffe that's happened or correct a gaffe. So maybe if they ever have to do a pre-recorded Emmys, which I hope they don't need to, they need someone in some room somewhere with a live stream that they can cut to who can clarify any mistakes if they happen.
Like, there were a few things that I was glad came back around, because we once again got to see Rose Byrne and Bobby Cannavale being high or something. Maybe just having a generally good time, and good for them. We also got to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan sitting in front of his wife again, so that was intriguing. Zach, let's check in with you.
Oh no, Zach. Come in, Zach.
Maybe not.
He's thinking.
Yes, he is.
Is he?
He seemed like he was here. Okay, let's move along then. Zach, feel free to just pipe in whenever you want. I've been talking all week, so I've got nothing else to say. Now, Matt, what do you take from Cherry Jones winning the Guest Actress Award? Did you have her in addition to your Cromwell prediction?
No, I don't think I did. I can't remember who I predicted. Who was the front runner in that race?
Well, I mean, it was Cicely Tyson on our website.
Yeah.
That was quite a strange race where it didn't really seem to have a front runner.
I think I had Cicely Tyson. I make it that. Look, we've seen Succession win some awards over the past couple of nights. It's clearly in a very strong position to take out drama series. That can't hurt Cherry Jones, but she won last year too. So, I think she's an actor with a lot of respect. She upset for 24 as well in the supporting actress race. So she's a very respected actress in the industry. She does a lot of theater work too. I saw her in a play when I was in New York a year or two ago, and that often gives you a bit of cred in the industry as well. Movie stars sometimes they sort of go, oh, you're too good for TV, but theater people seem to get respect. So I just think she's a very well-respected actress on a show that is the front runner for best drama series, and she gave a good performance in it too. So it's not a surprise at all that she won this.
And David, do you take anything from that upset?
I had her, which was great. I was really thrilled that she won, even though it is sad to not see Cicely Tyson give a speech. It was nice that Cherry Jones actually gave a speech too. I know the other winners in the guest categories gave speeches in the virtual press room, and the Television Academy shared on Twitter Eddie Murphy's speech. But it was very strange having like the big hallmark categories of the night not have acceptance speeches. But I mean, it bodes nothing but well for Succession, even though I think if they lost both of the guest categories, they'd still be a front runner. Game of Thrones never took home a guest acting trophy. So even if Cherry Jones hadn't won and Cromwell didn't, I don't think it would have been much of a concern.
All right, and let's try to catch up with you, Zach.
Sorry I'm late. I heard you guys talking about the Ron Cephas Jones snafu. I was busy writing an article about that, so that's why I was a little bit late. Yeah, I mean, Cherry Jones, I wasn't surprised by that because I predicted her. Actually, the only guest category that I got wrong was drama guest actor, which props to you, Riley. Although who knows? Maybe the people who predicted Jason Bateman feel good too. Yeah, I mean, Cicely Tyson, it was weird. I guess like people were expecting her to win off of sentimentality alone. And, the Emmys are not sentimental people. Like I remember when Diana Rigg was the frontrunner for Game of Thrones, because it was, I don't think it was the last season, but it was her last appearance. And, she was beat by Samira Wiley for The Handmaid's Tale, which was obviously a show that they liked much better, and that the actors liked much better. So, it wasn't surprising to see Cherry Jones, who just won last year, win again for a show that I think most of us are predicting is going to win Best Drama Series tomorrow. That wasn't surprising. It also wasn't surprising for me that those two SNL people won. Eddie Murphy less so, just because he was our presumed frontrunner for so long. I had a feeling once I saw that Maya Rudolph was nominated for playing, hopefully, our future vice president, that a lot of voters were going to vote for her out of a feeling of, being good liberals and fighting for a worthy cause. Perhaps it was their way of saying, we want to see you become a series regular, Senator.
Yeah, I feel
What were
like
they saying when they gave the award to Tina Fey for playing Sarah Palin's?
Unfortunately, it might have been the same thing. I don't know if you guys talked about the animation category either, but
Definitely not.
I had a statement that our contributor and friend Charles Bright wanted me to read, if everybody's ready for that.
I'm just gonna mute your mic there because Charlie is actually not in this chat, so we don't need to hear from him.
I love how he's issuing statements.
Okay,
We got the scoop. We got the Charles Bright statement.
I think I'm ready to receive it now. Okay.
Okay. All right. This is the official statement from Young Democrats of Virginia member Charles Bright. While Rick and Morty did win for a worthy and hilarious episode, BoJack Horseman has been one of the most revolutionary and innovative programs of the previous decade. Grumble, grumble, grumble. I think it's safe to say that BoJack going Emmyless for its 6-year run on Netflix will be as hard to believe for future Emmy watchers as the fact that The Simpsons wasn't nominated when it was submitted in comedy series. And once again, I reiterate, grumble, grumble, grumble. What do you guys think about that one? I mean, was that surprising to you guys? Or because I thought BoJack was going to get it.
Over here, we can see that BoJack Horseman is now stuck here at 0 next to Aaron Paul's other show, El Camino. There's a little board recap.
And there it shall remain.
Yes.
Yeah, I think BoJack Horseman surprised. I thought BoJack Horseman could pull it off this year. I also thought it could pull it off last year because we have seen hope in this category, which has often just gone back to the well of The Simpsons and the South Park. We've seen times when, after being snubbed in the past for nominations and wins, an Archer pulls it out, or a Rick and Morty pulls it out, and ironically, it's Rick and Morty that foiled the efforts of overdue BoJack Horseman. But look, I think Rick and Morty is a really funny show. I really like it, but I just feel like really BoJack Horseman hit a massive home run in their final season, and how they, the sort of depth and uniqueness of that show. It's a real shame that wasn't able to win this year. And I think if it wasn't the last season, fine, maybe next year. But I think it's particularly hurts that that will be an Emmy-less show.
David, anything to add?
No.
Okay. I feel like I can rationalize the winner for any other category at kind of any award show. That's kind of what I feel like my job is. But after The Simpsons won animated program last year, I feel like I kind of gave up on that category. I don't know what's going on there. Like a few days ago, I tried to look into whether there's any kind of correlation between, broader support, maybe nominations in the acting categories, and winning animated program. And no, it's not the case. So, I mean, I was predicting BoJack Horseman this year, just because everybody seemed to think that would be a nice thing to happen. But I'm not surprised that it lost.
Rick and Morty has won before.
Yes.
So,
at least it lost to another cutting edge, really well-deserved winner. And thank you, Charlie. I read that comment.
He predicted Rick and Morty. So there you go. You got a point in the prediction center. Yeah. Oh, and that's a good quote for Rachel. Aaron Paul's other show, Westworld, hasn't won anything either. So really, the curse of Aaron Paul this year at the Emmys.
And nothing for Truth Be Told.
What happened?
Yeah.
I guess he cursed all of Apple with that one.
Yeah. Oh boy, but I think I think with it, I wonder if like The Simpsons always has like a baseline of support, like they always get a very similar number of votes, and it depends with them a bit more if there's votes, like if there's votes splitting that particular year, whether that is enough, like whether the vote Simpsons gets every year is enough to win.
I could believe that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like we've seen that a lot this year where they're going back to shows that didn't win necessarily last year, but maybe won 2 years ago, 8 years ago, and maybe just everything new has kind of come and gone.
Hmm.
Going off of that Apple thing, Apple has been shut out, but we see, a new network in Quibi coming up, and they won 2 Emmys a couple nights ago. And Maya Rudolph, she's winning a couple Emmys after being, snubbed and not awarded for so long. I really felt like we were heading in a direction where at least the actors branch was going to be embracing newer things, more exciting options. But then tonight we get Ron Cephas Jones again. We get Cherry Jones again. We got David Attenborough the other night. So I'm getting real mixed messages from the awards that we've gotten so far, and I'm not sure what to do with them when looking at my own predictions for tomorrow night.
You talk about this, new networks, Quibi winning 2 awards. How many has The Mandalorian won? You know better than me, Riley. You've got the
I believe they have
board.
7.
They have
Let's see
7.
here. Yes, they're
Wow.
up there with Watchmen.
So, okay, I mean, what does that say about tomorrow night? Is The Mandalorian going to win this best drama series?
I mean, they've already beaten Succession for score, so
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised by that.
Me too. I was very upset.
Goranson and
Yeah. Look, I think Mandalorian has done very well out of the creative arts, so I definitely think its chances of winning best drama series have not been hurt by this week. I think it's coming out strong with its 7 awards. Although Taika Waititi couldn't win best voiceover performance, so it's not won everything. And I think it, not to diminish particular categories, but by being a half-hour drama series, it was taking on a lot less technically showy series in some of those half-hour categories that it was in a couple nights ago, which sort of may have sort of helped it a little bit. But as you say, it beats Succession for the score. I tend to think it is foolish to read too much into creative arts totals. We had Stranger Things a couple of years ago, came out very strong of the creative arts Emmys, winning casting and stuff like that. Mandalorian's a very creative arts friendly show. You've got flashy visual effects, costumes, makeup, all this sort of stuff. I know it didn't win necessarily all those categories, but it's flashy. It's going to do well out of tonight. I would not expect it to make too much of a dent in the drama series race. So yeah, I don't think it's, but it's done well, and it's like its stock's gone probably up a bit, not down since the beginning of this week.
I think if it had won Guest Actor for Esposito, we'd be having a very different conversation. Just in the sense that if we knew that the acting branch would award it with a win, even though it doesn't have any acting nominees at the main primetime Emmys ceremony, we could see that actors might be supporting it in the best series category. But I tend to agree with you, Matt, that I think its wins make a lot of sense for the creative arts, but I don't think they're necessarily going to translate to a huge upset tomorrow for best drama.
And what do we think about the comedy side, where we've seen Schitt's Creek win a couple of awards? They got costumes and they got casting, but they weren't able to win, the makeup categories, or they weren't able to win editing, which is more important and more correlative. What do we think about Insecure kind of upsetting in that category? Anybody?
well,
Oh no.
Oh, Vlasak again. Well,
I'm gonna say just quickly on the Mandalorian, so to take it back, there's no
sure.
directing or writing nomination for that show, which is usually a bit of a kiss of death in the series races. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I don't think we're actually taking the Mandalorian seriously.
But I think it's a question you need to ask when something comes out of the
Yeah.
Creative Arts with 7 Emmy wins. Like, I think it's a very legitimate question.
I guess so. Yeah.
I was more, I mean, Riley, to answer your question, but not necessarily about Insecure. I was really curious to see how Mrs. Maisel would do tonight, as kind of a bellwether on not necessarily if it's going to win comedy series, because I don't think it really will, but you know, is it going to win 2 supporting acting trophies tomorrow? I know both of those categories kind of seem like toss-ups. And it didn't win acting, but it did well in spots that I thought it would tonight, and then it didn't do well in others. And I'm really trying to figure out if it has a chance to upset in directing, because I'm not sold on Schitt's Creek, and I got entirely missed signals, like missed messages on that tonight. Like it picked up cinematography, but then it lost. What did it lose that I thought it would? What did it lose tonight that it seemed like a front runner for?
Maybe production design.
And something else too, right? Was there one other?
Probably.
Maybe not.
Yes.
Oh, well, picture editing.
Yeah.
That's where we started the conversation. Like I thought it would win there, and it didn't. So I really don't know what to make of what's going to happen with it tomorrow night.
Guest actress is another one.
Yeah.
And guest actor, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So it did win 4 awards. Yeah, that directing race, I just have no idea what to do with, because
No.
you know, Schitt's Creek is obviously the series frontrunner. That helps, but I do feel like we have seen the directors branch and also directing awards, you know, at the Oscars or Directors Guild, kind of draw a line sometimes where they don't necessarily just go for whatever is farthest ahead in the series or picture race. They want something. Maybe a few more moving parts. I mean, we never see John Oliver take directing, even though his show, I think we can say, is far ahead of all other variety shows. Yet tonight we did see Dave Chappelle's stand-up special win Best Directing. So again, mixed messages. I can't tell, do the directors want something that's really showy, or sometimes, you know, is just having like adoration for a certain program enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be tempted to. I think I have Maisel for comedy or Cabbage winning directing right now, and I would be tempted to keep it there if it didn't have another nomination in the category. But I think vote splitting is really possible there, because Marvelous Radio is also one of the better episodes of the season. So that could, you know, be to Schitt's advantage, but I just don't know. I'm not sold on Schitt's Creek taking directing right now.
I'm also not sure how much passion there is for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel in directing. It always
Yeah.
racks up tons of nominations, but for example, it's never won the Directors Guild Award. It lost to Barry twice, and it lost to Veep, and at the Emmys, it lost to Fleabag last year. I don't know. Might be a bit of a disconnect there.
Yeah, I think it's a very, like, I think Schitt's Creek is obviously the show that everyone's predicting to win comedy series, and it's the front runner there. But, you know, the real ace in the hole is Marvelous Mrs. Maisel did well with wins over the last couple of days. Not as well as they could have, but they did well. And they've won Best Comedy Series before. So they're like, you know, if we go back, like we've seen like them go back to the well of a past winner, Maisel is a sort of a proven one. I can't remember what I'm predicting at the moment, but I will be switching, I think, to Schitt's Creek tonight. But I do think this is a 2-horse race between Maisel and Schitt.
Oh, I don't really think it's a 2-horse race between them and comedy series. I'm more just wondering about, you know, is Schitt's Creek strong enough to sweep, you know, the acting categories, writing, directing, that kind of thing. I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
good.
comedy series is a foregone conclusion.
You're really like, you think, like, what percentage would you put Maisel at upsetting a comedy series?
I don't know. I think people just love it so much.
Yeah,
I guess so.
I mean,
it's just an unproven. Like, we haven't seen the Academy like give it too many wins before this year.
well, my hesitation is whether I'm actually going to check it off for like 7 wins tomorrow night. Like that seems to be a lot. Considering it's unproven, I think the lead acting categories and comedy series are almost essentially locked. I don't know what to do necessarily with the supporting categories or directing. I think writing is also more or less assured.
Let me give you all some advice here. You know, last 2 years in a row in the comedy categories, including Mrs. Maisel, including Fleabag, of course, they pretty much just check it off everywhere. I think that last year, if Olivia Colman wasn't competing against Sean Clifford, if there was only one of them nominated, one of them would have won. I also think that if Andrew Scott had been nominated, he would have won. Certainly we saw that with Maisel, with the exception of Tony Shalhoub. I think he was the only one who didn't win for the first season. So my philosophy when predicting a hot newish, let's say, since it has been on for 6 years, comedy series is just to pick it in every single category. I understand the logic of thinking that Shalhoub and Borstein will win again for Maisel, particularly Borstein, because she has won twice in a row. But it's very rare for somebody to win 3 times in a row. And I think that, if you're a Schitt's Creek fan, you just, you're not going to reward you're not going to reward the 2 elder Roses and not the 2 youngers. I mean, you're certainly going to reward Dan Levy anywhere you can because he's this year's Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So I'm just going to pick it in all of those categories. And maybe I'll miss 1 or 2, but I don't know. I think they're just going to go with it wherever they go with it, because that's been the trend for the last 2 years.
That's a decent strategy, Zach. Aim low.
It's more aiming high because I'm gonna get the best score, hopefully, right? If it's a shit show, shall we say? I mean, the other thing is like over in drama where it's all over the place. Even when Game of Thrones won all those Creative Arts Emmys, it only managed to twice in a row win 2 on the primetime ceremony. And I think there were several moments in both evenings where we thought something else could win, be it The Americans or The Crown or Ozark, maybe. So I don't know how many to predict Succession for based off of tonight. I think I'm just going to use the same strategy and predict it in as many places as I can, except for maybe supporting actor, where I think there will be a legitimate vote split. But even then, I don't know. I mean, maybe people are just really lazy this year and they're just going to vote for their favorite show everywhere. And it's just going to be the same 2 shows that we hear over and over for the 2 hours or 3 hours or however long this virtual ceremony can go on for.
Yeah, I mean, plus Watchmen as well. I feel like maybe it's just because the ceremony hasn't happened yet, but I feel like we don't often have a year where it seems like, a show can sweep comedy while a different one is sweeping drama, while a different one is sweeping limited. Like, it does seem like each of them could take, 5 to 7 trophies. Watchmen would need to win all 7 at the main telecast if it were to break the all-time record at this point, which is held by John Adams since 2008 with 13.
Watch
John
out
Adams.
For that. Yeah, I think a shit sweep's much more likely than a Succession sweep. I think particularly since we've seen how well it's done through acting nominations and just the thing of those races. I would say I think Succession is vulnerable in a lot of the categories. So I would say, that particularly the supporting races for Succession, they could be in trouble. They might have a vote splitting issue in lead actor, although I think they'll take that out. And we've just seen, we've seen, I think you'd be foolish to sleep on The Crown in any category it's in. We've seen The Crown upset before, at the Emmys. So I'm predicting Succession, but I think Crown could upset in any of the categories it's nominated in.
including Best Actress, which I think I might predict.
No, I'm gonna have to do a lot of thinking tonight about Linney versus Coleman.
Yeah. David, how do you feel about The Crown? Do you feel like it's a threat at all, or has its time kind of run out?
I mean, it did well tonight. I don't think it's a threat for drama series. I think actress, there are probably 2 other actresses ahead of Coleman. If it's not going to be Linney. And I don't have Bonham Carter winning supporting actress either. So I don't think it's going to do well, although I do think, it could probably take 1 or 2 of those, not drama series, but I think it could do okay. But the acting branch support in nominations wasn't really there. Below the line, it's still continuing to do really well. I don't really see a path in actress right now. And I don't think it's going to be supporting actress either, even though that's totally not with the consensus.
And who do you have in that category?
I have Sarah Snook. I think tonight kind of disproves the theory a little bit because Cromwell didn't have any co-stars in the category, but only Snook and Cromwell were the only 2 cast members from Succession not competing against another cast member in a category. So I had Cromwell winning for that reason. It didn't, carry him to victory. But if they're going to be checking Succession off in the acting categories or most of the acting categories, I think looks like one of the most likeliest to win.
My concern with Snook is it's a very understated performance, which I love. I love subtle and nuance, and I think it's great. I love her on the show, but I just wonder if it's not like that kind of iconic, showy sort of performance that Emmy voters like to reward.
I'm going with Sarah Snook too, actually, David.
Of course you are, Zach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, yeah, because as I said, I'm voting for Succession anywhere I can. I mean, it is an understated performance, Matt. You're right, but also Shiv Roy is kind of a fan favorite, which is why I have a hard time predicting one of the 3 supporting actors because they're all fan favorites, and why I might be foolish to be picking Jeremy Strong over Brian Cox because they're both well loved on the show as well. But I mean, it's that kind of thing that our own Chris Beecham talks about a lot with Kim Basinger in LA Confidential. You had this ensemble of great male performances, and then the one woman in there sticks out and wins. So, Sarah Snook could benefit from that. If nobody else is going to win an acting award on Sunday night for Succession, Sarah Snook could be the one to do it.
I agree.
I mean, yeah, we saw it with Big Little Lies a few years ago as well with Alexander Skarsgård. Yeah, I'm not predicting Sarah Snook, but I'm getting my fandom out right now, I suppose, with my outfit. The closest thing I had.
Who are you predicting, Riley? I mean, Ron Cephas Jones isn't nominated there, so I know it can't be him again. But what do you?
Yeah, I've got Julia Garner. Ozark does seem to be in increasing danger of suffering the biggest Emmy shutout of all time. Mad Men went 0 for 17 a few years ago for, I think it's 5th season, but Succession still has, Ozark still has a few chances, and I've got it in both supporting actress and lead actress, and I'm wondering about switching back to it in directing, just because I wonder how much of a vote split there's going to be between the 2 Succession episodes, and also whether Succession is overall showy enough as a directorial achievement.
Well, you should always aspire to break records no matter what they are. So maybe it's not so bad for it to make history. I like your logic, though. I mean, it feels like Ozark's got to win something, right? For how acclaimed this season was. But, then again, it being upset everywhere at the Creative Arts kind of makes you wonder. But, we'll see.
Wasn't as acclaimed as Better Call Saul season. That's not going to get anything either.
Well, maybe Giancarlo.
Well, yeah, that's not like with especially a category where there's vote splitting. Like potential. He's not out of the question. Double nominee this year. Yeah.
When he announced that, presented that, what was it, children's program, when he gave that like one of the more compelling, presentations, I was really regretting not picking him in guest actor tonight. I just got like this feeling that he's going to do it. So he could very easily win supporting actor if the 3 Succession actors and the 2 morning show actors, because I think Billy Crudup is the clear kind of alternative if you're not going to pick a Succession guy. Esposito could definitely do it, although I just don't. I can't pick him for Better Call Saul at this moment in time.
I also think I wouldn't write out Bradley Whitford in that category either.
Yeah,
like he won last year in guest category. The Handmaid's Tale is a show that's won Best Drama Series in the past. He's, an iconic sort of actor, but also this character's quite an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised by how often tonight kind of the bigger shows were upset by maybe the smaller shows in terms of the Academy's eyes. I mean, we saw, Hollywood winning that hairstyling award. We saw Watchmen losing main title design to Godfather of Harlem. We saw, Ozark even losing to a comedy, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, in sound mixing. That's pretty rare. At the end there, we got Mr. Robot upsetting both Stranger Things and Westworld for interactive. So it's strange because it does seem like a year where our big shows are so big that they could sweep, and that's not necessarily what's been happening so far.
Another category we haven't talked about that I thought was a pretty big one tonight was documentary series, because I think you had a pretty good race there with the Chicago Bulls versus the Tiger King and The Last Dance, because they were both very talked about shows. Like, I think in some ways both of those series were watched more than some of the drama and comedy series contenders this year. And The Last Dance won out at the end, which I think was deserving and a good series, and I think sort of probably had a more sustained buzz than Tiger King, which was sort of talked about a lot for that week or two when it dropped on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by The Last Dance winning, but I am surprised by how, again, that's a case where you've got a show winning the top award, and then it's getting beaten by all these other shows in below the line categories or behind the camera categories.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about, David?
I don't know. Do we not touch on? I feel like we touched on a lot of good stuff.
We always do.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there any category that you guys are like, what is your biggest toss up for tomorrow night?
I think it's those directing categories. I've got to touch on those.
Yeah.
I agree.
What is it for you?
I think supporting actor, drama, and comedy directing are the two that and actually drama actor. I've been with Brian Cox since the Prediction Center opened, and I don't want to change my prediction, but I am feeling compelled to switch to strong.
Go for it. That's who I've got.
I don't know.
With me.
I'm also on the strong boat now. I did switch from Steve Carell, which of course was overdue since the nominations announcement. So.
You're a bold man right up to the end when you change your mind.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
I on the awards from tonight, I've got two little gripes with sort of the Emmys in terms of sort of some of the things that happen, and people have different opinions. This is just mine, but like the Saturday Night Live performances always winning in guest irks me a bit. And even when they went in supporting, I just am not as big a fan of the sketch performers participating here. And I think when, you've got these very, great performances, like Eddie Murphy, Maya Rudolph, very, very deserving. But I sort of more prefer the performances that, you know, like where it's one character for the whole episode, or a couple of characters if, you know, they're playing split personalities or twins or something like that. But yeah, it just feels like it's becoming sort of easy to predict, in a sense, some of those comedy categories where you just tick off the SNL person. And the other gripe I had was, it just seems like often these variety specials are now is just what stand-up comedian do we like the best, like rather than what was the best actually production and TV. And I think like I like something like the Sack Lunch Bunch because it was something different to anything I'd seen before, and it was like felt like more something that was made for TV rather than a sort of show that was just filmed. And that's not just at stand-up specials, because I know back in the day when you had sort of Barry Manilow winning best sort of variety performer over, you know, people like Stephen Colbert who were, you know, doing an actual TV product. And yeah, but they're two little gripes I have, but nothing against Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, and Maya Rudolph, who all, you know, performed really well in their shows, and they're great pieces of work.
Yeah, I feel like these stand-up comedians have been winning for the wrong years a lot in recent years, ever since they switched to everybody voting on those categories. It is kind of just whenever they're hottest and not necessarily when they're actually putting out a good show. Not to say that Dave Chappelle's show is an example of that, more thinking of a few years ago, but yeah, I feel like that is a trend in recent years. David, you mentioned drama supporting actor. I feel like that's a category where I'm not going to be able to figure out who's going to win, so I'm just sticking with the prediction that I have. It's not one that I'm confident in, but I don't really see what the strongest alternatives are to Billy Crudup.
Yeah.
Unless, you know,
I don't
Apple
know.
really is just not being watched as much as was when they were nominated. You know, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, if Apple can prevail anywhere on tomorrow night after being completely shut out during the Creative Arts ceremony, right? I mean, if it's going to be able to pull off either Crudup, you know, who has been our front runner, or Jennifer Aniston, who has been kind of hovering around in our top two. It'll be interesting to see if they can walk away with one of those two major prizes, because, you know, they're not adverse to rewarding new streaming services. We'll see.
Yeah, I think in some ways, like the morning show is a bit of a threat in the acting races, because even though, you know, it had a sort of, there was a bit of a mixed bag for the morning show on nominations morning, but the actors branch really liked it, who are the people who'll be voting in the acting category. So, you know, we saw Steve Carell get in, we saw Martin Short get in guest. So we've seen it do well with the actor. We saw two best supporting actors. So if any branch loves the morning show, it's the acting branch.
All right, we will be back tomorrow with a pre-show hosted by Matt. We've got a post-show hosted by Rob.
I thought it was the other way around.
Okay, sorry, the other way around.
Whatever. Like, we'll sort it out. There's an email.
It's not me.
Like,
He needs to know when he's got to get out of bed and get dressed.
Yeah, but before we go, Charlie wants to interfere one more time, and he wants us to talk about movie limited lead actor. He says, talk about that. So we should do that. Zach, who are you predicting there?
Paul Mescal, Normal People. And I'm going with that because even though the show was not nominated, it's the only performance that I hear real passion about. And that's not a knock, obviously, at the other performers who all did fantastic work and would all be deserving winners. What I mean by that is, you know, when I hear other actors talk about the performances that really affected them this year, Paul Mescal's name just keeps popping up, as does Jeremy Strong's, which is why I'm picking him. I mean, even Hugh Jackman talked about how much he admired Paul Mescal's performance, and he's his chief competition. So I feel like he's going to just continue that trend of people like Jarrell Jerome and Darren Criss, young up-and-comers who win this prize for performances that just shake everybody when they see them.
What are you thinking, David?
I have Jeremy Irons for Watchmen, for lack of knowledge about what to do in the category. I think if we're talking about a sweep in each of the different genres, I just don't see why they don't gravitate to the name and Watchmen. And also because, I mean, I just don't see a clear front runner in the race. So I'm kind of just going with what I think is the front runner for limited series, and it's probably going to be wrong because he's. But I also don't think. I think he's either fourth or fifth in our odds right now, which seems incredibly low to me.
Yeah, he's
So
down in fourth.
yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me at all. I don't necessarily think he's going to win. It's kind of, a bet the table kind of a move. But he definitely shouldn't be in fourth or fifth.
Yeah, I've got him up in second. We do see these lead actors get carried sometimes, like with Olive Kitteridge. I feel like more often,
Yeah.
though, the Emmys in recent years have been able to kind of distinguish people from their shows. Like Billy Porter last year, who was in probably the show that was in seventh, I guess, in the drama series race, was able to win lead actor. Or you had Chernobyl sweeping 10 Emmys, but not winning a single acting Emmy. So I've got Paul Mescal because of the reasons that Zach said. And Matt?
Look, I a bit similar to David. I was thinking Jeremy. I'm not sure what I got in the prediction center now, but I was going to put on Jeremy Irons. But I think Zach's made a very compelling case for Paul Mescal, so I might be changing it to him tonight. So yeah, it's giving me a lot to think about. I think, yeah.
All right, so you can tune in tomorrow with Rob first and then Matt later. In the meantime, I will leave you with the Noble board, which does not have Mr. Robot on it yet, because that was quite a surprise to me.